Hello, and thank you all for joining us for our Webinar Wednesday series. My name is Sharon, and I'm with CIPA, your Colorado Government Authority, helping you get more information and services online and offering Colorado government's grant funding. Joining us today is Brendan and Heather with MS-ISAC, who will share more about cybersecurity that you should be implementing. Before we get started, please go ahead and turn on captioning if you need or desire, and note that during this webinar you are muted. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A function, and for any other comments or information you'd like to share, the chat box is open. We will unmute folks at the end after you raise your hands if you have any questions you'd like to ask. We'll have a few poll questions during the webinar and a post-webinar survey, and we hope you will provide your feedback for each. Thank you again for joining us today, and with that, Brendan and Heather, please take it away.
Hey, thank you, Sharon, and thank you everybody for joining us today. I really appreciate everybody taking the time and opportunity to come and listen to myself and Heather. I know our contact information is not on the screen, so I will drop it in the chat for everybody. But as mentioned, my name is Brendan Montaigne. I am the manager of our engagement team, and I'm here with Heather Doxson, one of our engagement managers. She oversees the state of Colorado. She is your main point of contact, but the two of us tag team everything that we do here at the MS-ISAC together. So feel free to reach out to either one of us with any questions, concerns, or anything that you'd like to ask us about the MS-ISAC or CIS in general. So we're actually going to start this off with a polling question. We're here to talk about cybersecurity, cyber resources available to all of you. So we really wanted to ask, on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being not prepared at all, how prepared do you believe your organization is against a cyber incident? This is one of those grounding questions that we like to ask everybody, because one of the things that we hear most often is that organizations feel like they have resources available, but may not know how to utilize those resources. And then other organizations just don't have resources or time available to utilize those resources. So take a moment. I'll wait until I see some submissions pop up in the chat, but this is really just our way to get grounded.
And here we are with the results. Looks like we're right in the middle.
Yeah, right smack in the middle. Pretty normal responses that we see from a lot of members. Nobody really feels they are fully prepared, right? Nobody feels like they have every single resource available to them, or that they don't need additional resources. So it's great to hear that everybody's kind of right in that middle ground, looking for additional resources, but hopefully not too overwhelmed with what you currently have available. So let me set the stage, a little bit about who we are, what we do here at CIS and the MS-ISAC, and kind of ground everything before we really jump into this presentation. So the Center for Internet Security is our parent company. CIS was founded in the early 2000s as a collaborative organization with the goal of creating best practices and a community of cyber experts. After doing this work for a little while, we actually formed the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center, which was created in collaboration with a few state governments in upstate New York, or in the Northeast, as well as Texas and Florida. The MS-ISAC was then funded by the Department of Homeland Security to provide all of the resources that Heather and I are about to talk about at completely no cost. Unfortunately, last year, through administration changes, CIS lost all funding for the MS-ISAC. This came with little to no warning to us. In March of last year, we received roughly a week's notice that funding would be cut for the remainder of the year, and we were forced to make a change in our membership. This change came at a surprise to a lot of our members, but also came at a surprise to us that we unfortunately now needed to start charging for the membership resources that we were providing at no cost. That's when in June of last year, we actually relaunched the MS-ISAC membership under the new banner and new guise of a paid membership model. So we really shifted our membership from funded by the federal government to funded by all of our members. all of you, all of the members across the United States. And as of today, we have just over 3,000 members who have signed up for the new paid MS-ISAC model, and about 25 state governments that have either adopted a statewide membership or a state transitional membership, as we call it, which that transitional membership is them covering the state government proper itself. So that kind of takes us to where we are today. So we are now in this new era of the MS-ISAC where we still provide all of the resources that we provided previously under a new membership. So what I'm going to highlight in the next 2 to 3 slides is something I recommend you take a screenshot of if you can. Pull your phone out, take a picture of it if you want to. And then Heather's really going to go into depth about all of the services that we do have to offer. But before I let Heather take over, I do want to mention a few high-level services that are critical to our membership and to all of you. We are an information sharing and analysis center. Our threat intelligence is the core of everything that we do here. It's all backed by our security operations center. This is available to all of you at included in membership, apologies, and that is 24/7 by 365. Which Heather will get into in a moment. And all of this is backed by our peer collaboration. It's backed by the network of members that we have within the membership that help build and restructure the MS-ISAC regularly. Here's just a quick screenshot. If you want to take a picture, you're welcome to. This is a high-level overview of everything that we have to offer. But I'm not really going to get into this as Heather's going to cover most, if not everything that you see on the screen here today. And lastly, before actually, I lied. I'm not quite passing it over to you yet, Heather. But our CIS portal is where everything lives. This is the central repository of everything at CIS and the MS-ISAC. We will get into this in a moment, but again, I just wanted to provide this as a little bit of context before we jump into everything. So I just shared a lot about the services that we offer, but why does it matter? You know, you're coming from all different parts of Colorado, whether you're a large municipality or a small municipality or a school district or whoever you may feel. The question that we hear most often is, why should it matter to me? You know, I'm a school district that graduates 30 kids a year. You know, the international threat actors are not targeting my organization. I'm not really worried about cyber threats. We've never had an issue in the past. So why should I care? Well, these threats are evolving, and these threats are starting to target more than just our major cities, our major school districts across the country. They're starting to target everybody because the availability of these threat actor tools are becoming more and more common in the everyday life. Generative AI is the topic of the century right now. Everybody's talking about ChatGPT and Claude and all of the other tools available. Threat actors are doing the same thing. They're beginning to use generative AI to target our infrastructure, to target our employees, and actually creating content which creates fear within our population. And that creates more and more vulnerabilities within our employees, within our network. 2 of the images that you see on the screen are completely fake, but they are 2 very real examples of generative AI images that went viral. The one on the left is the Eiffel Tower on fire. Oh my goodness, this would be world news. It was completely fake. The Eiffel Tower is totally fine to my knowledge. And then the one on the right is another government building on fire, up in flames. It's the Pentagon. And both of these resulted in impacts across the world. The stock market took a dip when that Pentagon image went live, and people across France as well as our country were taking notice of the Eiffel Tower being on fire. While these are 2 extreme examples, think of the use cases within your backyard. A kid gets bored, doesn't want to go to school the next day, or is just angry about something that he got into trouble with. and creates an image of their local fire department on fire. This now creates fear within your own community. That fear quickly turns into irrational decisions and people making mistakes just because they want to act quickly. This is what we're starting to see more and more often. And if your organization is not protected from people making a mistake, an incident could happen to you. And I do want to jump into our next polling question as we have two examples of potential phishing emails that might hit your inbox. We receive these phishing emails, types of emails every single day. I know I get one at least on a weekly basis. And one that comes across my personal desk pretty often is DocuSign or e-signing of documents. So on the screen here, I have two examples of two very real emails that came to my personal inbox. The one on the left, review a document to sign. The one on the right, review a document to sign. These two images are very difficult to distinguish which one is real and which one is fake. So I ask all of you, which one do you think is fake? And we'll see what the results say. There are a couple context clues on the screen, I'm not gonna lie, but you also don't know who I work with. You don't know which platforms we use.
All right, here are results.
Wow, nearly a 50-50 split with actually the majority getting it correct, but a pretty good split. So 57% of you said number one was the phishing email, and the other 43% of you said number two. So number one is indeed the phishing email. Number two is an email from our HR department. Waldo, please don't send him an email. He's a wonderful human being, but I don't think he wants to be emailed saying I was using him as a phishing example. But yes, that is correct. So actually the one on the left is the phishing email. This is why this is so important. These examples are extremely difficult to distinguish, and it's getting harder and harder the better AI tools get. We in our company actually ran a test using a few different LLMs to see which ones would create a phishing email for us. Initially, off the first prompt, the controls come into place. AI says, sorry, we're not able to create a phishing email for you. That goes against our policy. A little more plugging around, telling AI this is just a simulation. It's for testing within our organization. And boom, it gives you a polished, perfectly written email that you can use for whatever malicious intent that you want to. So no longer are the days where there's typos written throughout an email or misspelled words, commas in the wrong place. These emails are written and looking like professionals. So it's even more important that we're taking a second just to pause because tools are great, but nothing is better than just taking a moment to reflect and make sure what you're looking at is an actual email that you expect to receive from that individual. And nothing beats a good old phone call, just calling up Heather. Hey, did you send me this wire transfer request? No, okay, just making sure. Human contact is still extremely important as we go through the world. So I do want to just leave you with a couple statistics before I do pass this off to Heather. Ransomware threats are still the most common threat that we are seeing impacting our membership, but they're not the only threat. Malware, phishing, mouse spam, etc. These are all droppers for ransomware and a very real threat that everybody should be aware of. One of the stories that I like to tell most often is one that impacted my personal community. There's a small school district near me where a few years ago, they had a phishing email. That phishing email ended up landing in their finance department where one of their employees decided to click the link, update billing information, and ended up sending $1.5 million to a threat actor. Now, this is a small school district. As I mentioned, they graduate about 35 kids per year. She sent over essentially their entire emergency fund. Through working with us and local law enforcement, they were able to receive back $1 million of that transfer, but they lost $500,000. And in the 7 years that I've been doing this work, I ask the question every single time I'm in person, throw your hand up if your organization can lose $500,000 and it not be a big problem. And I've never once gotten a single hand go up. It doesn't matter if you're Los Angeles County, the city of Denver, or New York City, $500,000 is still a large sum of money. And in this case, that woman actually ended up losing her job. She was run out of town by locals in her area for making a mistake. So these threats are starting to impact our community. They're impacting people we care about beyond just our organization's security. If you are a school district, they're starting to impact children as they apply for colleges or try and get financial aid. These are the concerns that we all have to think about as we're responsible for the majority of our population's cybersecurity. So these threats are real, irregardless of the size of your organization. But that's why we're here today. Not my goal is not to scare you, but just to make you all realize that these threats are real. They're targeting organizations of every size. And I hope that we can be one of those layers in your cyber program. But we're not a silver bullet. We can't stop every single threat that comes at your door. If anybody ever tells you that they can, they are lying to you. And please stop listening to them. Cybersecurity is like an onion. There's several layers to it, and we're here to be one of those layers. So Heather, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Brendan. Again, really excited to be here with everybody. For those of you that I may never have spoken with before, my name is Heather Doxson. I am one of your engagement managers here at the MS-ISAC. A little bit about my background, just so you know, I actually come from the elections world. So if we have anybody on here from that realm, it's good to see you again. And I have been with the MS-ISAC for the last 4 years and focused a little bit more on a broader scope of cybersecurity, which has brought me here to you today. So I'm really excited, as Brendan said, we have so many offerings that can help you regardless of the size of your organization. And we never want anybody that is the one person handling everything and driving the emergency squad car and taking care of the cleaning and everything to feel like you don't have support. So regardless of the size of your organization, it is an important thing to consider cybersecurity because sometimes those smaller organizations are good test cases for those threat actors. So we want to make sure you have some knowledge and some protection. And we'll go ahead and go to the next slide and talk about where our foundation is. And Brendan mentioned our Security Operations Center, but as part of our commitment still to the state, local, territorial, and tribal community, our Security Operations Center, our SOC, and we do have SOC socks sometimes if you ever see us at a conference, they are really the heart and soul of our operation. This is the group that provides that round-the-clock access to US-based full-time cybersecurity professionals that are available to you. They are monitoring threats, they're responding to alerts, they are subject matter experts and resources for you. And we want you to think, if you become a member, we want you to think of the SOC as an extension of your office every day of the year. I mean, when we say 24/7, 365, if it's 3 a.m. on Christmas morning and you have an incident and something happens, if you contact our SOC, you're going to get a person, okay? Now, I mentioned a few things that they do, and you can see it on the slide here. They do perform a lot of duties for us, but most importantly, their function is they are here to help our members in the event of a cyber incident. Now, they're also available for if you just have a question and you want to talk about something, you can reach out to them. If you ever need a second set of eyes, they are good feedback givers. They can't make the decisions for you in some cases, but definitely can provide, background information because they see so many different incidences take place. And when our analysts are not assisting our members, some of the things that they're doing, as you can see there, they are doing round-the-clock monitoring. So we have what we call the Albert Intrusion Detection System. So that is something that they are monitoring. So anything that is happening in other SLTTs, they are monitoring that information and leveraging that to provide you information from what they've learned from that, and to that's where that information sharing comes in. That's what they're working on. So they are also putting together the cybersecurity advisories that we share out, web defacements. They talk about account compromises and other various threats that are really affecting the SLTT landscape. So it helps reduce the exposure by helping you stay ahead of threats, right? You're going to get clear, prioritized guidance from our SOC that helps you support things like being proactive with your patching, things mitigating time in a timely manner, threat blocking, making sure that your defenses are aligned with the most active and relevant risks that we are seeing out there in that SLTT landscape. You'll see that they are working on, they eliminate with response. We have industry-leading response times. One of the things that you'll hear when people work with some other organizations is it's not that they are not responsive, but because of the broad scope of sectors that they're covering, their lead time to respond may be a little bit longer. And since we are working with so many other organizations like the FBI, and we still do work with the federal government and everything, we are able to respond a little bit quicker. And, you know, that's obviously going to save you time and worry and hopefully some money. So that is our SOC. They are a wonderful group to have on your side. And we'll go ahead and go to the next slide and talk about the next level kind of the SOC. So when we talk about our Security Operations Center, if you would call with an incident or report an incident, when that occurs, we notch it up to our cyber incident response team or our CERT team. This is the group that can assist you with that incident response. They can remote in and do digital forensics and get you through the steps toward remediation, you know, much quicker, hopefully. And they can also provide that guidance in recovering from that incident. And this is all a part of that membership bundle. So they can either be your first call, our SOC and our CERT team in a case of an incident, or they can be that second set of eyes, because one thing that we all deal with, or a lot of us are dealing with more and more, is cyber insurance. So, you know, depending on what your policy dictates for an incident response protocol, even if we're not one of the first calls, we still want to be part of that conversation with you, because 9 times out of 10, what you are facing is something we've probably seen elsewhere. And while we might not be the first folks that you call, we can definitely help in getting that done and remediated a lot quicker. Another great thing about, you know, the CERT, we are open as a member. If you're a member, your SLTT, again, it is solely focused on what is happening in that threat landscape. So they do malware analysis and log analysis. And another nice thing that our CERT team is really great about, if you're putting together an incident response plan, which we hope all of you have, and you have questions about that, they can provide feedback. So it's something, you know, we are very mission-based. We care about you being protected. So again, use these as resources as an extension of your organization once you become a member. Next slide. All right, our cyber early warning service. This is a wheel, if you will, with 4 different spokes to it. It's a comprehensive service that really is a proactive option, and it helps monitor your organization's public-facing infrastructure. It helps, we do a lot of scanning of the deep dark web, cybercrime marketplaces, all in the purpose to detect early indicators of, you know, potential compromises and malicious activity. And there are these 4 different spokes to that wheel. The first one is the targeted vulnerability notification. So these are, this is where we alert organizations about publicly accessible systems that are, you might be vulnerable to newly identified cybersecurity exploits. So we're watching for the trends that are happening and what's out there. Then we have the initial access broker service, which this is continuously monitoring cyber criminal systems that are out there in forums and marketplaces for actual listings that indicate what would be an unauthorized access to your network, and then them trying to sell or exchange that information. The breached credential service is where we are actively searching breach data repositories that are out there, dark web leaks, and looking for compromised credentials tied to your organizations. And again, want to reiterate that this is all focused on SLTT. So we're not looking at anything else, mainly the SLTT domains and things like that. And then finally, and this one you may have heard of before because we used to kind of call it just this name, but the IP and domain monitoring is where we detect signs of compromise, misuse of your information, or malicious activity involving your digital infrastructure. Website defacements, this is where we look for that. If you're included on blacklists, unauthorized redirects of your domain. And the really, really great thing about this service, I mean, you see these 4 different things that are involved in it. It is, and it's not the best way to describe it, but it is a set it and forget it. But it's what I mean by that is it takes it off of your mind, because this is when the SOC really would become part of your organization. Once we get your public facing IPs and domains on file with our SOC, they are doing these 4 steps for you. They are doing the monitoring. They are watching these things. You don't have to worry about what do I need to look at today for this. It is if they notice something, they will reach out to you and let you know what they see, what it could be. And then it does become, come back to you to determine how you're going to address that. But it gives you some more time back. And we all know that in our world with cybersecurity and everything else that you have going on, any bit of time that you can get back to look at other things is always going to be a wonderful thing to have. So really great service there too. And we'll move on to the next one, which is also a very wonderful service. This is our malicious domain blocking and reporting service. It is a DNS filtering service that is provided as part of the membership package. And for this, we have partnered with Akamai to provide the solution. They are a global leader in this realm of DNS queries, and it provides members with real-time protection against potential malware, ransomware, and phishing attempts. So, we saw that little phishing slide exercise. This service is one that's really great for preventing that. Now, it blocks requests for known malicious domains before a connection is ever established. And as the slide says, there's really nothing that you would need to do other than provide your domains and IPs, because there is no hardware or software required. And we also give you reporting on that blocked activity. So you can kind of see, is there, especially if we have any K through 12 members on here, is there a site that the students are trying to get to all the time? I mean, it's going to show up and you're going to see how many blocks there were. One thing about this service that I want to point out that's extremely important as we think about information sharing in this community, the more organizations that are in the SLTT realm that use this service, the richer and more actionable type of threat intelligence we're going to have to be able to share around. So because this is such an easy to deploy layer of defense, it really helps stop those threats that are the things that we are worried about the most, reducing that exposure to the malware, to the phishing, all of that. And really the setup for this is very simple. If we want to go into the next slide, you can kind of get a a visual of how it works. So from your organization, and I'm not going to translate this whole slide, we'll share this out with you, but basically once we get your firewall set up and connected with Akamai, when those domains are attempted to be accessed, that automatically gets logged with Akamai. That is who is providing us the reporting service, the reporting that you're going to get, but it stops it before it can ever happen. They're going to get that block message and it's not going to take them there. So it's really a great thing. I will point out that if any of you might be using a Cisco umbrella or something like that, this is very similar, so it would be redundant. But if you're ever, if you're going to take on membership, when you take it on, we hope, this is something that comes with that membership package. And especially for those of you that maybe don't have anything in place right now, this is really kind of one of the first steps that I would recommend you taking as a service. So now we can go to the next slide, Brendan. Thank you. The other thing, and I kind of like to talk about this in conjunction with the MDBR, because I feel like they kind of go hand in hand. And this is our indicator sharing program. And it is a great way for you to kind of take a little bit of control into your hands. What happens is our cyber threat intelligence team, part of our security wheel, we have lots of different wheels going here. They are the ones who are gathering, along with our SOC, a lot of intelligence from a variety of different sources. And when they gather this intelligence, they are analyzing it. They're, as we mentioned in that SOC slide, they are removing the false positives and making sure that it's curated for the SLTT community. Now, what they do with this program is we offer indicators of compromises in different sets that can automatically be ingested into your firewall rule set, and it uses a STIX taxi feed with a MIS format. Again, no additional hardware or software needed in any cases here, but it provides you with really focused threat intelligence, vetted IOCs, intelligence that's available. It's automated threat detection so that you're not having to manually put this into your firewall rule set. And it's just really a great thing to kind of have in tandem with the MDBR. Next slide. I think I'm going over time, so I'm trying to hurry up a little bit. Brendan showed you a great screenshot of our portal. I cannot stress this enough. Our portal is your go-to spot when you become a member. It has everything that you need. I talked about those MDBR reports. You'll find them in the portal. You need to update contacts on your membership account, come to the portal. We have our Member Connect that I'm going to talk about in a second through the portal. Threat intelligence, white papers, everything that you missed a webinar, you want to catch it, it's in the portal. So it's a really great place to find everything that you need. That being said, I and Brendan are always here for you as well. Next slide. We did want to just give you a kind of brief overview because I think this really illustrates what we are who we're working with and what we're doing. This is our current number of members that we have in Colorado. So just a little over 350, which thank you again if any of you are on here for your support and for SIPA's support. We are so excited to be working with you. But you can also see a breakdown in the different sectors. So I mentioned K through 12, and there was a reason, because that is nationwide probably the largest sector that we work with, for good reason. They have their own unique challenges in the cyber landscape. So that just kind of gives you an idea of who we work with. Elections is coming in second there, no surprise. And just a little brief message about elections. Once we have the MS-ISAC, but for those of you that may be elections, we also have the Elections Infrastructure ISAC, the EI-ISAC. Once you join the EI-ISAC, you are automatically a member of the MS-ISAC. So just a little note there. Next slide. I mentioned Member Connect. You access through our portal. It is an exclusive member-based platform for community collaboration that we offer. And within this space, we have public groups so that you can engage with all the rest of our membership across the country and the territories. So we have a focus group on AI in there, of course. Then we also have specific private communities so that they can collaborate. And I mentioned K through 12. We do have a K through 12 community. We have a higher ed community. We have a utilities community. And depending on if a statewide membership happens, sometimes we will do a state-specific community within that space. So it's a great way to share insights, collaborate, ask questions, get advice, any kind of collaboration and engaging that you want to do, either with the MS-ISAC and CIS or with your peers out in the world. Next. A little bit more about Member Connect. These are just some of the things that you can do within there. You can set up events. Obviously, the networking is huge. Resources, collaborating on projects, messaging one-on-one or in a group, all kinds of different things available. It is so robust and wonderful. I love it. Next slide. So Brendan and I focus on that main membership bundle. However, once you become a member, we do offer really cost-effective add-on services. And I had mentioned the Albert Network Monitoring. That is one of the things that we offer. We do have a next step up on the MDBR that gives a little bit more customization. We have our managed detection and response service, managed security service, red team services, and we are building out more and more offerings in this space. So if that's something, once you become a member, that you're interested in, we would be so glad to connect you with the services team that takes care of these options and get you the information and pricing that you would be interested in to take on those services. Next. Secure Suite membership. Very excited to say about this one, first off, that while we would love to have members sign up, if you are part of the SLTT community, this is something that you have access to regardless of membership. So we'll go in and talk about this on the next slide. This is a space where you can access the CIS controls, the benchmarks. We also have the workbench available in here, as well as different services that you can use, including our SysCat Pro. And I'm not going to go into so many of these in detail, but that kind of gives you an overview of the services that are involved in Secure Suite. And I am going to talk a little bit more about our controls if we want to go to the next slide. So those of you that might be new in your journey in cybersecurity, all the way up to very well versed, these CIS controls it's a framework. Once you decide your framework, that determines how you're going to implement cybersecurity. Our CIS controls are a very nationally recognized option of 18 top-level categories of best practices. Within each one of these categories, there are other safeguards or sub-controls, as they used to be called, that deal with that topic. Now, to make this easier, when we talk about our controls, we actually break them down into 3 different groups. So that implementation group number 1, or IG1, you'll hear us say, is really where it's your baseline. Everybody, it's not a nice to have. These are the things that you really should have to make sure that you are on your path to good cyber maturity. As one of my colleagues says, if you were a baker, this is where you bake the cake. You got to have the cake to start, right? The second group, as you get through the first one and you've checked all those off, which some of the things that happen in Secure Suite is helping you monitor the implementation of these controls, which is wonderful to have. It kind of gives you that roadmap. But once you have that cake or that first group in, now you can think about frosting that cake, right? So that's IG2. So you've gained experience. You're a little bit more mature or maybe a bigger organization. And this is where you are in your journey. that's when you want to go into the IG2. IG3, this is really for larger corporations and things like that, that maybe, really, really mature if you're putting very elaborate decorations on your cake. That's what this group is for. So depending on where you are, if you get to that point, that's great. But really, IG1 is really the one that you want to focus on. It is the important things, and it is where you're going to determine how you're going to implement this in your organization and what is the priority of implementing within that group. Next slide. So we work with what we call the community defense model. And the reason that I wanted to include this slide is these are usually the top 5 things that when we talk about cybersecurity with organizations, these are the things that we're concerned about, right? These are what's always hitting us. If you implement that IG1 group, that first group of CIS controls, you've given yourself this level of protection: 77% defense against malware, 78% against ransomware, etc. Now, once you implement more and more, obviously that number is going to go up, but this is just to illustrate to you, this is how much more protected you will be with using those controls in your organization. Okay, next slide.
And Heather, I
Yeah.
do want to mention one thing that's actually not represented on the slide here is out of the box. Our
Yes,
systems
thank you.
are only about 30 to 40% secure. So that 77 to 83 or 86 number that you see with IG1 may not seem like you're blocking everything, and
Right.
that's not a great measure to get to, but it's a 50% jump out over what you're getting out of the box functionality. Out of the box, it's built for the consumer. What we're trying to do is build for security, and a balance of security and usability.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Brendan. And like Brendan said earlier, unfortunately, in this world, we're never going to be 100%, but you can see that first group of safeguards gets you pretty high up there. And then as you continue to mature and add more, you get higher, closer and closer to that 100, right? So next slide. All right, our next polling question. I know I've given you a lot of information about a lot of different services, but we would love to know, which of these would you like to know more about? We would love to reach out. And on the CIS Secure Suite, definitely would love, we could set up something that to go in a lot more in depth on that with you. So whatever you're interested in, and if you're overwhelmed, please let us know that too, because we understand. So we'll give you some time to answer that question.
We
No
spew a
wrong
lot
answers.
at everybody. We hear from most of our members that this is a fire hose of information. So don't feel bad if you missed a slide or if you didn't write everything down. We are happy to answer additional questions.
Absolutely. And this doesn't mean we will absolutely be reaching out to you. This is just if you guys are
Yeah.
interested and would like to learn more, we would love to hear from you. So don't think this is we're going to be bugging you about it because honest, you should be doing this, but we understand there's a lot you have to deal with. So, all right, I will throw the results up there and there we are.
Awesome. Love those answers. And those of you that answered, I'm overwhelmed. That's what I'm here for, to help take away some of that overwhelming feeling and to talk about things in real talk. So, if you become members or even if not, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, okay? And next slide. I think this was back to you, Brendan.
Yeah. Thank you, Heather.
Yeah.
So I know we spewed a lot of information, and I want to make sure that we have some time for questions at the end. So, being conscious that we have about 15 minutes left. I do want to mention before I even get into this that when you become a member, one of the very first things that we offer is a one-on-one consultation. And this is to make sure that your membership journey is yours. A lot of our services feel like it's start here, go to the next, go to the next. But you can jump around. You can take advantage of just a couple services. You don't have to take advantage of everything. It can be a bit overwhelming. So just know that we are here to offer those types of one-on-one consultations to make sure that we're working directly with you. So as I get into this, I want to mention that our membership is based on your organization's overall annual operating budget. And you'll see that bottom graph at the bottom of every single screen that I shared here. So this is the overall annual operating budget, not just your IT budget and not just your cybersecurity budget. We priced our membership this way to ensure inclusivity of all members, regardless of the size or allocation of resources that they may have available. Regardless of which tier you fall into, all of the benefits that Heather had spoken about are available to you. There is no difference in what resources are provided to your organization dependent on the tier that you fall into. One thing I do also want to mention is because we are here today, we are going to have a 20% off membership promo that will be live for the next roughly 2 months. That said, if you fall outside of that 2-month window and you still want to use that promo code, just shoot myself or Heather an email and we'll make sure that that gets approved for you. So use the code SIPA20 and I will show you where to plug that information in a couple slides. So if you've never worked with the MS-ISAC before, you actually have a pre-registration step that we do need you to accomplish, and that is going to our registration page. This is our public-facing website where we just collect a little bit of personal information, and then a member of our member services team will actually reach out with next steps. This is how we build a repository of contact information. And then you can actually go and add additional contacts. From there, you'll get access to the CIS portal that Heather had showcased earlier. In there, you'll have a pop-up immediately that says purchase membership. If you've already done so, you should not see this little pop-up. And if you do, please just let us know. But from there, it becomes pretty self-explanatory. Clicking on the button to purchase membership will actually get that started for you. There's a few different avenues that you can do that, but it all lives within portal.cisecurity.org. And then once you click on purchase membership, it takes you to our first page. This is where we ask for your annual operating budget. This is how we determine which price point that you fall into and provide additional options for you as well. You'll also see our membership agreement all the way at the bottom here. This is a requirement for every single member. If your legal department needs to review this, make changes to it, it just becomes a little bit more manual because we want to make sure that the agreement works for both of our organizations. And then one thing I didn't mention, and we don't mention, all the time, but we have financial assistance options available to our members. By default, if your organization falls within what we consider tier 1, which is having an annual operating budget below $25 million, you actually have these financial assistance options by default. So yes, we're offering 20% off right now, but for all of the tier 1 members, you actually can receive a 50% off membership, a deferred payment of membership, or by request, a completely free membership as well. So those options are available to you. That is by default to tier 1. If you fall into tier 2 through 5, and even with the 20% discount, the membership is still too steep, please reach out to us. We get pretty creative. This is our first year of charging for our membership, so we know we have some kinks to work out, and we want to work with your organization. That, above anything, is the most important thing to us. We are a nonprofit. We are a mission-based organization, and we are here for our members. So just reach out if you have any questions. Once you do accept the membership agreement, you'll actually be taken to the last page of the registration, and this is where you would enter in that promo code. So that highlighted section that I have there, that edit billing information and special instructions, is actually where we put our promo codes. For the time being, we're working on building out functionality to actually have a true promo code field. But for now, that's what we have. Just drop that code SIPA20 in that field, and we'll honor a 20% discount. Immediately after clicking submit, you'll actually receive a PDF of your quote. That quote may not represent the 20% discount until our sales operations team has the time to actually action your submission, and that's when they'll send you a true invoice with the discount represented. If you need to, we do work directly with Carahsoft as a reseller. So if you need to purchase through them, you're absolutely welcome to. Just check that box for purchasing through Carahsoft, and they'll be able to handle the purchase process as well. And that's it. That's how you get started with membership. There's a lot of resources available. What we mentioned is a pretty good representation of everything that we have to offer. But I think our biggest strength is our community. We host webinars. We have our Member Connect collaboration platform. And if you ever wanted to talk to a member in upstate New York, where I'm from, we can facilitate that for you, or you can reach out directly and Member Connect yourself. So by becoming a member, you have access to the rest of our membership and cybersecurity experts across the country. And with that, I will pause for any questions that anybody might have, and say thank you. Thank you to SIPA for inviting us here today. I really appreciate the time. I appreciate everybody sitting, listening, taking our polling questions, falling for my phishing example, and any questions that you might have, I'm happy to take.
Brendan, there's one in the question and answer about MDBR providing phishing campaigns to test their users. I don't think it includes that, correct?
I did not have the Q&A up, so I'm looking now. No, so MDBR does not provide phishing
Strictly.
campaigns by default. If you do run a phishing campaign and you want a specific site whitelisted or blacklisted, we can facilitate that portion of it for you. But no, at this time, we actually don't offer phishing campaigns. There are some really great no-cost resources through the Department of Homeland Security. They have some tools. It just, you get on a bit of a waiting list, but they are a pretty good phishing campaign as well.
Great. We got to thank you for Mimi for that. Anyone else?
They're all overwhelmed. No.
It's a lot.
It is.
Well, thank you so much for all that great information. That the amount of services, the range that you have is amazing, and we are very excited to work with you and help our Colorado governments become more secure, especially for our constituents. If anyone else has any questions that do come up later, please you reach out to us. You know how to find us. We're here to help you, and as is MS-ISAC. We've got some other upcoming webinars, 2 more in May before we take our summer off, a couple of AI topics. We've got Tyler, Colorado on May 13th, and our newest supplier, Dewey, on May 27th, who especially help our education entities out there. So go to our website, sipa.colorado.gov, to find those and register for them if you want to. We will also have our regional workshops on April 29th in Huerfano County and April 30th in Delta County, and we'll be at the town of Lyman on May 15th. So if you're in those areas, we'd love to have you come join us because we love to meet with you in person and have more of these workshops hands-on. Go to our website for more information, subscribe to our monthly newsletter, make sure you read through all that. We got lots of great info in there. We'll be announcing our new CTO who just joined us this week, or last week. So we're very excited about that. And again, we are so thrilled you joined us today. Thank you again. We'll get this up on YouTube so that you can watch it or share it with colleagues if you'd like. And then make sure you fill out that survey at the end. That's it from us. We hope you all have a fantastic day.